name, image, and likeness yet? No. What's keeping you from earning that money or gaining products today? Probably access to companies. Maverick Sports Consulting can connect those dots for you. We believe in the power of athletes making a living off of their own likeness while going to college. If it's simply that you don't have access to companies, don't let that keep you from being successful. Contact us at Maverick Sports Consulting so we can help you navigate your path to gaining corporate sponsorships for your own college career. An athlete's earning potential is limited. Why wait until tomorrow to start earning today? It doesn't matter what sport you play. We can help our clients achieve their goals. Just contact us at Maverick Sports Consulting. TikTok, the clock is ticking. And David, I kind of like the TikTok element. Obviously, we need to take some TikTok Q&A at some point during the live sessions, but that should be a lot of fun. But
as soon as you get a TikTok account, we can go live every night and take questions.
Dude, you have a better chance of winning $1 billion tonight than me getting on TikTok anytime soon.
Oh, dude, I think once you got on, you would be hooked. You would be hooked.
Dude, I spend enough time on Twitter. I don't
spend a shit ton of time on Twitter, which I respect because you are a huge presence on Twitter, which is to your marketing of your opinion, which is incredible. I am trying to build my following on TikTok because I think the video aspect of TikTok is going to be what captivates people in the long run.
Well, you know what, David? I don't care. All right.
I know you don't.
I don't care.
I know.
All right.
Trust me, I know.
I'm an influencer. That's all you need.
You are. You're a blue check mark. You're a blue check mark, baby.
No, I'm not. I'm not. It's just a symbol. It doesn't actually mean anything. Let's go.
I don't have it.
Well, someday, David Turner will have a check mark. Remember, I said it. So we talked about a couple openings now, David. Las Vegas Raiders is one. Chicago Bears will be one on Friday, apparently. So let's talk a couple teams maybe that could be the next to follow suits. I am still going to find it hard to believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars enter 2022 without a new coach. And honestly, there have been a couple better moments with Jacksonville since the whole Urban Meyer thing, but at the end of the day, I feel like this train is already off the tracks. Are we going to be able to get this back on the tracks? Is Urban Meyer going to take the USC job? There's a lot of layers to this conversation. How are you feeling about the Jaguars' current? Well, I know how you feel about Urban Meyer as their head coach, but do you feel like I am on the right path where I say that I think that this is the one and only year that we're going to see Urban Meyer as the head coach for the Jaguars?
Yeah, I believe it is. I think he's out because either him or the ownership are just going to his inability to understand what he bit off going into the NFL is just absolute dumbfounding. Absolutely dumbfounding. The comments that we hear on open mics, like when he says stupid shit, like it's like playing Alabama every week. What did you think it was like, you dumb fuck? This is, literally, this is the best of the best lined up at every position each and every week. Did you really just think that you were going to come and get some cream puffs every week? No. It's the NFL. Every team can beat any team at any given Sunday. You have to be on each and every week, and you can't give up an inch or you're going to get just violated. And you know what? They've gotten violated a lot. Now, what they did against the Bills a couple weeks ago, that defense stood up, did a really good job, awesome job. But then what the Bills just did again this week, which wasn't that impressive, right? It's like now we got Jekyll and Hyde going with the Buffalo Bills. We don't know which Bills team are we going to get. A few weeks ago, again, would they have been a pick for the Super Bowl as our TikTok fans was looking for? They might have been. But now, the Bills defense is still balling out of control, but the offense is sputtering and we're not sure what we're getting each and every week. Is it the team that's going to drop 40? Or is it the team that's going to just drop, 20 or 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars or whatever it was?
Did you see the stat I sent you though about the Bills when Spencer Brown plays right tackle? They are a significantly better offense when Spencer Brown plays right tackle. Just putting it out there. No,
I know. We called that. We love Spencer. You were on him well before I was, but when I watched him, I was like, yeah, this guy can play. And that right tackle, I thought the Giants should have took him. You know that. And fix their right tackle spot, which is now a freaking open swing gate with soldiers out there and them bleeding in Parrot. But no, I think you're right. I think the 2022 season does not kick off with Urban Ryers as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will be in search of a new coach, and who it is, I don't know, because with Trent Baalke and Tom Gamble running the show down there, I'm not sure who they would favor.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. So I mean, Jaguars are a tough one. Here's a question, and we haven't talked about this team. Is David Culley a one-year coach for the Houston Texans? I feel like he's been thrown into a really bad situation, but I don't know.
I'll be honest. I looked at that when we started talking about this subject, like who would be in that list, and when I saw the Texans, I'm like, man. As you know, when we did the construction show of all these rosters, right?
Yeah.
Down in Houston, there's a bunch of one contract guys. They have very little draft capital.
Just cut Philip Lindsay today. Also,
they just cut Philip Lindsay today. I mean, it's just such a bad situation in Houston. I think that man's earned a second season, earned it. And honestly, you have to give it to him. There's just, if they fire him, that's just an absolute atrocity. Even more so than it already is. But this guy walks into the whole situation with the quarterback. Now you have freaking you don't have the players. You got injuries. Tyrod was hurt for a while. They just won a game. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it was such a difficult situation. I would give him a second year and see what he can do with in any kind of stability. But as long as they keep carrying that quarterback, that's such a distraction. Like you gotta. I know you can try to keep it out of the building, but questions come up, so that would be hard. I think personally, a team that we got to start talking about having the hot seat for not only the coach but the general manager is the Dolphins. Like.
They seem like they're riding the ship a little bit, though. Defense has been playing well. I think they have 2 or 3 straight wins now. Like they seem to be getting a little on a better path. But I will say this: I think the general manager should be out in Miami before the head coach. I don't think Flores is much a problem as it is Chris Grier, because there is a lot of mishandling of that roster, in my opinion.
But. Yeah, I don't agree with that, because I just think that they both need to go. And I like Chris. Chris was there when I was there 20 years ago. In 2002, Chris Grier was a young scout in that building.
Yeah.
He's got a very good football mind. Okay. He finds players in the drafts. He's a guy who I respect his opinion. But that being said, what they've done over the last couple years, I don't know. That offensive line is awful. They're sitting at
might be the worst offensive line in the NFL. They're
sitting at 4-7 this year.
Yeah.
When last year there was hope coming back into the season, right?
10-6, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they came in. We're like, yeah, here we go. We got some progress, and they didn't do much.
You know what was the best coaching that Brian Flores has done, though? It wasn't last year 10-6. It was the year before. They went 5-11, but that roster, David, was awful. I thought they might not win a game that year before. Him winning 5 games that year was like, wow, how the hell did you win 5 games with that roster? Then you saw development last year at 10-6. And this year it's been awful. It's been bad. Tua has been in and out with injuries. The offensive line is the worst in the NFL. And for me, I just think that's roster construction as far as the offensive line. They literally have Jesse Davis playing right tackle, who just he can't play, man. He honestly can't play. They drafted Austin Jackson in the first round 2 years ago to play left tackle. They moved him in the guard because he was so bad at tackle, and he's also not good at guard. He just can't play, and you drafted him in the top 20. They drafted Noah Igbenogany in the first round the same year.
I would give you such big props for saying that name. I cannot.
I practiced it a lot, man. I practiced it a lot, especially when he was coming out. Igbenogany, I liked a little bit at Auburn coming out. Now, was put into a roster, though, where you already had Byron Jones, you already had Xavier Howard. How are you maximizing? I understand that the nickel position has gotten more and more important, but I'm not spending a first-round pick on that roster, especially on that position, when you have holes. There are obvious holes. The defense is ready to go. Tua has had spurts of good play, but that offensive line is awful. And all due respect to Jalen Waddle, I love Jalen Waddle. I really do. I love the kid as a prospect. Worthy of a top 10 selection, in my opinion, in last year's draft. You had to get Penei Sewell. You had to do it. Now, is that fully Chris Greer? Probably not. I'm sure the coaches have a say. I'm sure the scouts put their input, all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a roster construction issue. I think mostly in Miami I think is the biggest issue.
No, and again, you make all valid points. You really do, and I applaud you because those were great points. And I know you watch the Dolphins, closely. For me, I really am struggling again, like I am with the Giants, who again is on the hot seat in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with coaching and attitude of players and their effort on the field and stuff. I don't see it. And I don't see a construction of offensive game planning in which is making me fearful of this offense at all. I hated Tua coming out. I thought they should have drafted Herbert. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Great, cool, whatever. Right now, Tua's struggling. The whole organizational struggle of I'm going to trade for Watson. If Watson had all his effort, all those cases, I should say, settled, he would be a Miami Dolphin. He would be a Miami Dolphin. And you just traded a first round, or you just drafted a quarterback in the first round 2 years ago, right? Or a year ago. And in the 2020 draft. And then you go and you're going to trade for another quarterback. Like, that's just like mind-boggling and blowing, and that's some Eagle bullshit. So I'm just like, I don't get it at all.
Did you say that's some Eagle bullshit?
Yeah, that's some Eagle bullshit.
That's funny. That's funny. Is there any other ones that pop out to you as far as teams?
Well, one to think about.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the seat's hot, but it might be warm.
Uh-huh.
He is the oldest coach in the NFL.
Pete Carroll.
Does Pete Carroll bow out in Seattle? Because now that's a seat. Pete Carroll, and then the other one, I want you to talk about both, but Pete Carroll and Washington. Those are the two teams that I think the seats could be heating up, depending on how they finish the year out.
Yeah.
Those two seats could be heating up.
So if we're talking about a person getting fired, I don't think that Seattle is hot in that situation, but it could be because you just mentioned the age factor. Maybe Pete Carroll is just like, all right, I've had enough. We've had a good run here. We won a Super Bowl. Maybe it's time. So a resignation, maybe, possibly. I haven't thought too much about that, but I think that is a definite possibility. Washington, the Washington football team, I don't think they're going to move on from Ron Rivera, but I am here to tell you that they should. Just flat out. I mean, and no disrespect to Ron, because he seems like a great person, fought back from cancer, obviously a great football guy, a great defensive mind, played in the NFL. There's a lot of great things that Ron Rivera has given to the National Football League. But I'm here to tell you that he is on pace now for his 8th losing season in 11 years as a head coach. Think about that for a second. Think about it, because universally, I feel like most people think of Ron Rivera as a very good coach, or at least a good coach, a good NFL coach, head coach. And he has 11 losing seasons. I'm sorry, 8 losing seasons in 11 years. He has had 3 winning seasons as a head coach. Where is this opinion coming that he is this great coach? I don't see it. I don't believe it. And Washington is a roster, in my opinion, that is a lot better than what they're playing as right now. And I know they had an injury at the quarterback. They still need to figure out the position. Obviously, the most important position in sports. I get it. But offensive line is very solid. They've played well this year, actually. They have Antonio Gibson at running back, who's a good player. Terry McLaurin is a stud at wide receiver. They have some dudes. Logan Thomas is a guy that's been productive. Their defense has names everywhere, but for whatever reason, they're not playing well for the majority of this season. They have guys like, I know Chase Young's out, but even with Chase Young out, they still have guys like Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, who has quietly been one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL this year. The secondary has guys in the back end. Linebacker, they drafted Jamin Davis with their first-round pick, who I said that I thought it was a mistake, and it has looked like a mistake so far. But obviously he's a rookie, so we're not going to pass judgment there. My point, though, is this roster is better than what their record says. They are a better football team. And I think that Ron Rivera is a very overhyped coach for whatever reason. Good person, good for the league in a coaching capacity. Not a good head coach, in my opinion. So I think Washington should move on, but I doubt that they do. I would be very surprised if they moved on from Ron Rivera this season, because there's going to be the crux, the crutch that they're going to say, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt before the season. Like, that is like the biggest indicator, right? Because, like, whatever. But they're going to fall back on them. They're say, oh, let's get him a quarterback. Let's see what he can do. 30-year as the head coach, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think that Ron Rivera is the guy in Washington long term to maximize what they can be potentially.
And here's how you defeat that crutch. You didn't sign Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And here's the game. I'm not a big Cam guy right now. I told you his shoulder's hurt. I'm not there. But you went down to Carolina, and Carolina has won a couple games now, right? Or won a game with him at quarterback. Played really close in the second game, like really close. Mm-hmm. So, for me, you're like, well, Carolina, guess what? Cam's been out there since the first week of the season. Your quarterback went down, and you didn't call him up and dial him up and bring him in here to play. You guys decided we could ride and die with Heineke. Cool. That's your decision. You're the head coach, and you control personnel. Let's not get that twisted. Ron is there controlling personnel. He finally has gotten all the control he's wanted and what he wanted in Carolina, and he got it. And now you said we're going to ride and die with Heineke, and it's not worked. So you know what? Cool. In the draft, did you draft a quarterback? Did you go on a table and say we need to take one of these guys? No. So, it wasn't like we were going to draft a quarterback. Did you trade? Did you do something in the offseason to get another quarterback behind Fitzpatrick that you might like, that in case Fitzpatrick goes down? No. So don't tell me it's because Fitzpatrick got hurt that you're keeping your job. Because, again, you're a defensive coach, and you're a defensive player in the league, and you're a defensive-minded individual, and your defense is not playing to the best of its ability.
Playing bad. So, to be honest, it's bad right now.
So. Right. It's playing bad. Like, it's not even close to being where it should be with the talent like you just outlaid, with the talent level they have. So, therefore, we're not even maximizing the side of the ball in which you should be maximizing. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not there. So, I don't understand why his resume is keeping him in place beyond this season. But will he? Probably, they'll probably give him another year, and the Washington fans should be in uproar about it, because there are better coaches that, are out there that deserve a shot at being a head coach. And like you laid out, Ron Rivera, I mean, he won a divisional title at Carolina 1 year when they were like, what were they?
15-1. They went the 1 year when they went to the Super Bowl.
Well, but I'm saying the year before that, I think
like 11-5, 12-4.
No, they were like 8-8, and they won a division title.
Okay, it was that year before. Then they were like they went on the 3-year run, I think, where they were like 11-5 or 12-4, and then like 8-8, like you said, and then they went to 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl.
Right, and then after Dave Gettleman got let go, it's just been. I mean, we went to the playoffs the year I was there. But that first round we got handed, got our butts handed to us. And the next year I was there, basically everybody was about to be gone. Like, it's just not been good. And, it's a situation where, again, you're looking at it and the decision-making and the coaching is not lining up to be successful. So that's one that, again, I think the seat should be warm. Is it warm? We will see over the next few weeks. I mean, you got to understand there's still 7 games to go in this season. Typically at this point, there's 6 games to go, and we can kind of read some tea leaves. But with 7 games to go, I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one and on Seattle for 2 more weeks, because I think 2 more weeks, even Carroll's seat could get a little hot, because now you got Russell Wilson back, and they still have their offense is their offensive line is terrible, and Pete Carroll might just be like, you know what, I'm not going to try to reconstruct this O-line. My quarterback's a little older. It might be time for me to walk away from this while I still smell good, and other people can take the back end rebuild on this one.
Yeah, I think we're on the same path there. And I mean, they're still in a weaker division. So like the Cowboys have been up and down. The Eagles have not been good mostly, but now they have an easy kind of end to their schedule. The Giants are a dumpster fire. Like maybe Washington makes a little bit of a move here in the later stages. I know the last topic we want to talk about, David, was real quick because we didn't have a chance to, obviously because I wasn't on the show last week, was the Rams have obviously made a couple big moves over the last couple weeks. I know we kind of just wanted to talk about it for a second. Obviously, the first domino was they trade for Von Miller. They got 2 day 2 picks to do so to bolster their pass rush. He did play this past game, had some flashes, had some good moments, obviously, like he always will because he's Von Miller. And then they signed right before last game, and he did play during the game, but obviously his reps were a little limited just being on the team for a couple days. They signed Odell Beckham Jr., who was released from the Cleveland Browns. Of course, he most notably during his time with the New York Giants, where he was fantastic mostly, and obviously he deals with some, what is the words? Maybe some maturity, I think maybe the best way to phrase some of Odell's
personality issues.
Personality disorder. Well, I don't want to say that because I don't want to pretend to know the person. But yes, so he's had some.
I didn't call them disorders. I just said personality issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just don't want to make it sound like it's a diagnosis or something. I'm just saying that there's something off with Odell at times. So they sign him. So the question about how they're building the team, right? Because they are obviously mortgaging the future. Draft picks do not mean anything, at least early round picks to the LA Rams right now, because they are going all in on the Super Bowl. I'm okay with it. I am. Because, I'm a draft guy, right? So, obviously, I prefer picks because building through the draft is, for me, how you maintain success and how you build a good roster. I don't need to say that, right? I'm okay with it, though, because the Rams have been close. They made it to a Super Bowl. And honestly, if they had Matt Stafford instead of Jared Goff in that Super Bowl against New England, I think they win. And I think they maybe make a couple more runs in the Super Bowls that they did make. I mean, in the playoffs that they did make if they had a better quarterback. So they went all in on Matt Stafford, which I was cool with. They went all in on Jalen Ramsey, which I think has been a really good move because he's been a great football player and he's allowed them to do a lot of different things on defense. I'm good with it. The formula is not an ordinary thing. This is not how teams usually build the roster. But I'm okay with it, David. I am. Because at the end of the day, there is so much parity in the NFL right now. There's very limited separation between a lot of teams. I'm okay with throwing I'm okay with throwing their hat in the ring in this strategy here. Because at the end of the day, if they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years, they're gonna have to hit a reset button. But I think that they can get out of it pretty quickly because they do have their most important assets tied up for a long time. Jalen Ramsey's tied up for a long time. Aaron Donald's tied up. They have Matt Stafford for a few more seasons. They have Cooper Kupp under contract. Their guys are under contract for the most part. They are. Their core is under contract. They've done a nice job handling the cap in that way of trying to keep that core intact. So I'm personally okay with it. I would love to hear yours because obviously you have been in those buildings with kind of the roster construction and the team building and all those different conversations. Your thoughts about how the LA Rams are building the roster and maintaining the roster might be a better way to put it.
Well, again, I am confused because I'm a build your own team through the draft type guy.
Okay.
I believe when you start getting too many veteran players in the building like that, like they're doing, you got too many cooks in the kitchen, and it starts to muck up the water. Now, Woods went down with the knee injury.
Yes.
The Odell signing looked good to me. All
yes.
right, but prior to our show last week, Woods was still playing, so I was like, why the hell are they signing Odell? Because you got Woods, who's balling out of control. I thought he was very good this season. He was having an incredible season. Cooper Kupp, and again, you just cut Jackson for complaining about not getting enough touches, right? And then now you go and sign Odell, who was complaining about not getting enough touches. And it's like, well, you just got rid of a guy for not getting enough touches, and then here he comes. Now Woods gets hurt that Friday, so now I'm like a little bit, oh well, okay, now this makes more sense. But you still have Jefferson there, who again, Jefferson is a good receiver that could fill Woods' spot where you didn't need to make the investment in an OBJ because OBJ, again, like you said, he's going to be limited. Now, they just had their bye week, but he's going to be limited for a week or two, knowing all the plays, maybe even 3 weeks. So, again, McVay and them are loading up for the playoffs. They're like, okay, by the time the playoffs come around, I'll have ODJ knowing everything. I'll have the Von Miller being ready to go. You know what I mean? And we're gonna make a playoff run. I understand that mentality. It's kind of like baseball. Make some trades before the playoffs and let's finish this thing out with a championship, right? Look smart. But I think you're paying Paul today and you're gonna have struggles down the road because you're not getting your own core of young players in. And on the show last week, I compared it to the Yankees because the Yankees often, when they use their farm system, they have really strong teams. They really have a good, strong farm system. And when they put that in their belief system is to use that farm system, they have really good teams. But when they go out and they buy all these big time free agents, those teams always fall short of expectation. And so I struggle with that with the Rams this time around because I think they added Von Miller was a great piece because I thought he complemented what they needed on defense, which is a better pass rush. And I like that a lot. ODJ was the one move that I questioned it being a good one because I don't necessarily believe he's going to bring cohesiveness to that offense and bring that offense something it needs. I would have preferred them to lean on Jefferson more after the Woods injury than sign ODJ.
And I'm completely fine with that, to be honest with you. I am okay with that mindset because like when it first happened, I was like, man, like I still don't really care that much, to be honest with you. Like OBJ at his peak, when he's got his head straight, he's a very good player. Like there's no doubt. And I think he can still be a good player. But obviously the wrinkle that you mentioned was when Woods gets hurt, he kind of becomes a necessity now because you need that second receiver. And then, obviously Jefferson's going to stay as that third option. And then maybe you get something out of Tutu Atwell at some point as a deep threat. Like hopefully, I don't know if that'll happen this season. I don't know if it'll ever happen. But Odell is now an important piece in their wide receiver room all of a sudden. So I'm okay with that. The Von Miller thing I loved. I understand that it's day two picks, which like, okay, for a 30 whatever year old is like, all right. But for a few years now, I just keep mocking pass rushers to the Rams because everybody knows who the dude is, man. Like everybody knows it's Aaron Donald. Let's get somebody else on that defensive front that can really threaten the passer. And let's try to get Aaron Donald some one-on-ones at times. Let's give Von Miller one-on-ones because of the threat of Aaron Donald. I love the Von Miller acquisition because Leonard Floyd's a solid player as a pass rusher. He's nothing special, though. He's a guy that's purely going to win if he's maximized in one-on-one situations. Von Miller is going to allow him to get one-on-ones, and Aaron Donald's going to allow both those guys at times to get one-on-ones, and I think they're going to be better for it, especially down the stretch. They're going to be able to affect passers. I think that is a good move. OBJ, it's a necessity now. They need him to produce with Robert Woods out, unfortunately. So we'll see. It's a great conversation, honestly. We could have probably spent like 6 hours talking just about roster construction for the LA Rams because they are just doing things off the wall. But I will give them credit, though. The Rams have hit well over the last few years on day three picks. People forget guys like Cooper Kupp was once upon a time a fourth-round pick. They hit on their safety Jordan Fuller 2 years ago, who's turned into a really good player in the 6th round. So, like, they're hitting on the day three picks where we always talk about where the scouts really make their money. The Rams scouts have done a good job. The GM, Les Snead and co have done a good job. And Les Snead has done a good job manipulating cap room to, again, keep that core intact. So I think that they're doing things a lot differently, but I don't actually hate the formula that they're going at.
Well, you know why their day three picks are so good?
Why? Because they spent a lot of time on them. Because that's all they have.
Yeah, because they don't have a day 1 or 2, so they spend a ton of time on 3, and they're like, "We're ready."
Well, I mean, hey, but the pressure's on, right, David? Like a 4th-round pick for the Rams is a lot more important than maybe a 4th-round pick for some teams. Like you got to handle that 4th rounder now.
I know, but I just think it's funny because I was sitting here as you're talking, I'm thinking through like, why would that be? Well, because they don't have to worry about rounds 1 and 2. Those guys are already off the board. Hey, we're on to 3 and 4. Let's go.
It's fair, man. It's fair, and I would completely admit that. So I'm good. I'm good with it. I agree. So I want to thank everybody out there again. Maverick Sports Take episode 66, bringing you the business of sports and unmuzzled sports talk. Want to thank you. Want to thank David Turner, of course, for taking a little bit of time. Me and David have a nice, fun little announcement that we're going to show to the world probably within the next week or so that we're really excited about. David, I'm going to give you the final word, though. As always, just want to say, if you guys could please, if you're listening to this on YouTube, hit the thumb up button, hit the subscribe button. Would appreciate that. If you're listening on any podcast platform, give us a rating. Again, subscribe. Leave us a review. We would really appreciate a 5-star review, and maybe we'll do a little giveaway at some points. I know David's got a lot of gear, but we'll talk about that at a future date. We really do appreciate all the support and love that you have given us, a part of One Institution here platform, bringing you the unmuzzled parts of the business world of sports. David Turner, send us off with your words of wisdom.
Well, I'm going to say for the year I had, literally a week ago on the 17th, is when I snapped my ankle and everything had gone. This week, I hope everybody is able to share a lot of thanks and gratitude with those that matter the most in their lives. Don't just hold it in and assume they know it. Please send them a text, send them a card, send them a hug when you see them this year. Be kind to one another as you travel. It's been a tough 2 years for a lot of us. And to be thankful to be able to be with family and friends and do what we love to do on occasion. You know what? I think it's really should given us more perspective. And I know in our world, we often are divided. And when in these moments, in these weeks coming up, we should be more thankful for one another and just having air in our lungs and being able to walk this earth and share time and space with one another and energy with one another. So for me, I hope everybody takes that and runs with it and is thankful and kind and grateful to everybody else that are around them this holiday season, not just for this week, but beyond. Because I know this last year has been a real tough one, and the man across from me right here, he's been in my corner all the whole way, supportive when I couldn't jump on and do a show, when I couldn't jump on and do something, or I didn't have time to plan a guest because I was exhausted or in a hospital stay or something. He would just fill that airspace for everybody, make sure Mavs kept going strong and didn't miss a beat. So thank you, Ryan. I love you. I appreciate you and everything you do each and every day for me as a person, for the brand of Maverick Sports Consulting, for taking Mav Sports Take to a new level, and for bringing our audience great content when I can.
Absolutely. Love is always reciprocated, my friend. And we want to thank, again, everybody out there. Have a happy holidays. If you do indeed celebrate Thanksgiving, we'll see you all next time, same place. A lot of college football and NFL to dive into next week, I should say. So thank you all so much.